Good afternoon, and good afternoon to everyone here. I'm very excited about this panel, sitting here with three esteemed engineers, or at least that's how you started your journey. And we're going to talk about a very important topic today, about the heavy industries, the hard-to-abate industries, because it's no secret that some industries are notoriously harder to decarbonize. It's, of course, transportation, construction, chemicals, and they're often labeled as hard to abate. But they also represent the biggest opportunities for decarbonization. So this conversation will explore the practical steps that can be taken to reduce emissions in these very sectors. I think we will start with a general question for the three of you. But as I said earlier, anytime you want to chime in for a question for the other panelists, please feel free so we can make it more conversational. What would you say are currently the biggest challenges faced, and how are the industries responding to the immense pressure to reduce emissions? Mr. Ali, let's start with you.
You know, I am from the oil and gas, and there is the answer for this really initially a commitment by every individuals and every organization, every corporation, and every country. So it is long journey, and as long as our base understood the principle understood by each, and you develop and lock in commitment, you will do. Starting from educating people, committing yourself to improve and to measure. So it is really continuous improvement. You have to put your initiatives with certain target and achieve every year progress. And with time, you will see that you have the belief that sustainability is a must, improvement and decarbonization is a must. And irrespective, it will take 1 year or 15 years. But you have to guide and ride this journey.
And this is coming from someone who's truly an oil and gas person.
Oil and gas, yes. The commitment is the most important.
Commitment is key. Najeeba, what's your take?
First of all, thank you very much for having us. I think for Emirates Global Aluminium to be here and to demonstrate or to celebrate honestly what we have achieved so far, and to share the challenges with the rest of the industry. So really, I have great pleasure being here. For decarbonization, I think Emirates Global Aluminium is really committed for net zero. We are doing a lot of effort, and we are quite focused on achieving the net zero by 2050 or earlier. One of the levers which we are relying on is a continuous improvement, and we are focused a lot on improving our efficiencies, increasing our productivities without adding additional emissions. Continuous improvement has become a DNA. It's a value for Emirates Global Aluminium. Innovation, we heard a lot of good speech this morning about be innovative, collaboration across industry. We have collaborated with many of the energy producers today, and I should not forget to mention EGA has managed to produce green aluminium in 2022. We are producing green aluminium, and that's partnership between us and different energy producers today from Abu Dhabi and Dubai. We call it Celestial, and that's our collaboration with the grid. So we have managed to reduce our emission by more than 40% in relying into such collaboration. So we'll continue collaborating with different industry. We have been also collaborating with Siemens to improve our power efficiencies. And yes, no doubt, aluminium will continue being hard to obey sector. More than 65% of our emissions in greenhouse gases comes from the way we produce our energy. But as Mr. Ali has mentioned, we are really committed. We are really committed and quite focused in decarbonizing our sector.
And you said 40%. That's a significant number.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you.
Ms. Nader, coming from RTA, what's your perspective on the biggest challenges we face right now?
I think it's not a challenge, it's an opportunity. Because when we talk about public transportation, the concept of introducing public transportation to a city is decarbonization basics by itself. From the start, back in 2005, when RTA was established, the mandate was to provide, at that time, safe and smooth transport for all. And now the vision has been updated to be the world leader in seamless and sustainable mobility. So from day one, we took the agenda to be a provider for sustainable transportation. Dubai Metro, which is the longest driverless metro in the world, has already contributed a lot to this vision statement. We've already transported more than 2 billion passengers since the startup of the Dubai Metro, and more than 4 million tons of CO2 being avoided just by using public transportation. So public transportation is an opportunity, is a key driver for decarbonization by itself. So that is from the services that are provided to the public, and the citizens and the residents of the city or the Emirates of Dubai. But if you look inside RTA, there are multiple programs and initiatives. We have done about more than 50 programs and initiatives starting from 2016. That was the year where we launched our green economy framework, which was a dedicated framework aligned with the local and international requirements of sustainability and green economy. And from implementing those more than 50 initiatives and programs, we managed to achieve not just environmental carbon saving, but also financial saving that benefited not just the organization, but the city as well. So in a nutshell, transportation is an opportunity for decarbonization rather than a challenge for having a better approach for curbing carbon emissions.
Thank you. Speaking about opportunity is a beautiful leeway to the next question, because and I'm sure everyone in the audience would like to know, what's your take as far as the biggest opportunities and innovations in this space? Where do the opportunities and initiatives lie? Where should we be looking for the solutions? Ali.
I think if we look forward, most of the energy companies, they are putting forecast and they are watching about the transformation, how much changes, the world will introduce collectively, and to shift from oil and gas to eventually renewable. And I think the opportunity really in hydrogen. Now we could see that there is application of hydrogen. Oil and gas can offer, blue hydrogen because it's really part of the gas, where you have the H and the C components. So this is the great opportunity. The oil and gas produce also good engineers, especially in project management. So if we manage, project management well in oil and gas, and this is our reputation for the last century, now we could produce, and we have actually available a lot of talented people who could manage, renewable projects like hydrogen, process plant for hydrogen. This is possible.
So the same people from oil and gas
Yes.
have the skill set
Yes.
to now handle renewables and hydrogen.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is, to me, the biggest opportunity as, element of change for renewable is hydrogen. It will take some time. I think it will take something like a decade to make it, scalable to actual application, but so many applications already announced and people enjoy. It's a profitable, innovative, new area. But to make it, large scale, you require, all the integrated system, the network, the source, and the transportation, and maybe even, taking cargoes, which they take, hydrogen instead of gas.
And we should speak in a decade
Yes.
to see if indeed
Yes,
that happens.
which is not too far.
Not
That's
passes very
2035, and on this zero for 2050. So in between, I think there should be some landmark.
Right,
how much we
milestone.
achieved. Milestone, absolutely. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you. Ms. Najeeba, you're working in one of the largest global aluminum companies. What specific strategies are being deployed to tackle emissions, and where are you seeing the most success in this space?
So the biggest strategy we have adopted is the collaboration and our innovation center as well. So we know today more than 65% of our emission comes from the energy. We need to collaborate at the grid, as the way I have started my speech in the previous question. So we are connected to the grid. We believe today city is growing and there is a lot of opportunities of clean and green energy in the grid, where we will be tapping into these resources and try really to produce green metal and EGA. The second opportunities is investing in our R&D, where we can decarbonize the other smelting technology. We are today trying to partner across the globe with different companies, in Australia, in Europe, how we can really find a way in order to generate our heat, to maintain our reactors, but without gas. So this is one of the things which we are trying really to partner on. We have seen a lot of collaboration across also different industries, and I can mention here the circular economy, where we have partnered with cement factory today, where they are taking our spin pot line, which we call it end of the life of the reactor. We crush it, we segregate it, and we've been used for them as a feedstock. So collaboration within different industries, collaboration with R&Ds and technology providers across the globe, this is one of our strategies for decarbonize.
So moving towards a circular economy and reusing and...
Absolutely, and reducing our own emissions, and also while we are reducing our waste generation, we are helping others to reduce their emissions.
Reusing and reutilizing.
Because we are not believing one of us is really can compete with the other, so we can really decarbonize together as well.
Thank you. All right, so now we're bringing it more regionally and here to Dubai. It would be interesting to hear about RTA's key efforts in the public transportation sustainability space. If you can share some of those with us, Nada.
Yes, for sure. So we did mention that we started a lot of initiatives and programs back in 2016 and even before, from the time of establishing RTA back in 2005. But one of the key things or the key strategies that we are driving and implementing is the net zero public transportation strategy by 2050. And this strategy is a real challenge, and it's a real one-of-a-kind strategy, because Dubai is the first city in the region and maybe globally that have an integrated strategy for zero public transportation emission. The strategy is not only working on decarbonization of the vehicles, like the public transport buses, but it also works on decarbonization of the taxis and the limo services that are, available across the city. It also takes care of the infrastructure that is operating and running behind those vehicles. So you would find the strategies that are mainly considering the buses, the vehicles, the train lines and the metros, but it won't be mainly considering the infrastructure and the buildings that is behind it. So this strategy does consider that and take it into account. So we have more than 115 buildings across the city that we are operating from, and all these will be covered by this strategy. We also considered circular economy because we believe that your operation should be cradle to cradle. You shouldn't have any waste, and you should be looking forward to have zero waste out of your operations and activities. So that is also another challenge. So we have clear targets and mandate for solid waste management as well as water waste management. And all of these considerations are taken into place by this net zero strategy. The strategy aims to achieve savings of 10 million tons of CO2 when it is completed, and it will also have a financial saving of about 3 billion dirhams. So again, it's not just environmentally friendly to do so, but it's also economically wise to do, take that action in that regard.
Which brings me to a question, what is the incentive, right?
Yes.
What's the incentive for hard-to-abate industries to decarbonize? And is the policy matching and coming in fast enough? What would you say?
No, I think what you said is correct. It should have economical incentives. And then it is commitment of the country, for instance, especially for national oil companies. And governments can spend billions of dollars because of the commitment, and they are leaders, like our country and probably your country. And so they derive the innovation. But I think, we can switch easy from oil, but it's a lot of demand on oil. And there is no economical viable solution to be introduced. So now the trend of increasing renewable, we expect that should come in exponential way, but it's not happening. It's slower, unfortunately. It will take some time. So the economical factor is very important. And that's why we believe in the energy mix. And sometimes even, sorry to say, an emergency situation, you could use, even Germany used coal because there was no gas coming to them. And they call it emergency for maybe 10 months or so. So the beauty to understand the flexibility of the pattern, emphasize more on innovation, to produce more renewable and clean your operation, like in oil and gas. There is a lot of ideas, of course. We have the zero flaring in our operation. In our sites in Egypt, we have zero flaring to avoid emission. In Iraq, just about to make zero flaring by the beginning of the year. We have all the processing, facilities being built. In Turkmenistan, we have 2 years, to really transform the facilities to be zero flaring operation. So there is so many opportunities in the oil and gas, but bits and pieces. And if we develop operational efficiency, we reduce emission.
You're saying it's still slow.
It is still slow because the oil and gas sector is really huge, and we produce oil and gas.
True. So what needs to happen in order to meet the global targets?
To meet the global target, I think, CO2 have to be encouraged to be injected, to the reservoir instead of going to the atmosphere, as long as it is economical. And it is economical for certain scales. And this is really good also because CO2 injection used as enhanced oil recovery process. It will give you more enhancement of oil. And you can also get rid of CO2 and in the water aquifer, the shallower water aquifer. And you store it there. You store it also, can be stored in the bottom of the oceans.
But storage is also costly.
You could develop a scale that is economical. So that's why, if it's not economical, it's not encouraging to do it. But with the current, evolvement of so many, technology, it is possible. I've done some research for CO2 injection, both from technical point of view and economic. It is feasible. It requires leadership to do it, and I think we are doing it in Abu Dhabi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Najeeba, your work intersects with many industries, and still talking about and staying on the topic of solutions, who would you say is leading the way in reducing carbon emissions, and maybe what can others learn from them?
I cannot see there is winner today. Yeah, I can see like all of us can be making really to the end line together, or all of us really not gonna make it. So I can see there is opportunity, as my colleague Nada has mentioned, of real collaboration across different industry. Maybe I touch base our collaboration with cement industry as well, but I think today there is a good opportunity for us to collaborate with the steel, and we are really having good solid collaboration with the steel outside UAE, where they can take our carbon dust, our wasted material as their feedstock. So this is really one of the things. I can see aluminum is growing very, very widely. We can see there is a demand today. The production of primary aluminum is around 97 million tons for the globe. There is a forecast to grow by 143 million tons. And we can see today UAE is having us only, and we need really to maintain our share in the market. I can see aluminum can innovate and can collaborate with aviation. We cannot see any kind of wind turbine without aluminum, so we need aluminum also in that sector. We can see aluminum today is growing in different industrial, because it's a requirement for other industry to use the aluminum to decarbonize. So we can see ourselves collaborating, and we can see all of us can make the lead way of decarbonizing together.
But how do you reconcile the fact that, and as you mentioned in your first answer, your prime operations produce a lot of the CO2?
But with the solutions, what comes together, like for example, we need really to put heads together. We need to invest in our R&D in order to decarbonize the rest of the processes. We need really the grid to be also quite open for us, with more renewable energy in order to maintain our production and reduce our emissions as well. So all these can come through collective collaboration with other industries. Yeah?
Collaboration. Collaboration is key. I think in every session, and especially between governments and the private sector. So again, if we're looking back at Dubai, Ms. Nada, and you had mentioned the target that the Dubai Supreme Council for Energy set, 30% of all vehicles to be electric or hybrid by 2030. And now, given the current EV penetration of the market and these very steep targets, what do you think are the key focus areas for Dubai and for RTA to drive this, well, gradual but fast-coming pace?
I think the key focus areas to drive this is to commit to those targets, first of all, and believe in them. And the way to believe in it is to say that as we started the question, what is the incentive and what is the motive behind it? And the answer to that is sustainability. I quote here Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum saying that we are committed to sustainability, which is a top priority, taking into consideration environment conservation and balance between economic and social development to provide people the best quality of life. So, if we do sustainability, let's start first. So if we curb carbon, we do sustainability, we provide better quality of life. So it will all come in return eventually. Now, when we talk about sustainability, sustainability is not just environmental sustainability. You've got two main aspects or two main pillars within sustainability, which is economic and social sustainability as well. And if you do it well or you do it right, you will have to answer all the three pillars together at the same time. I'll give you also another example here. When we started talking about our net zero strategy, it wasn't an easy dialogue at the operational level, at the strategic level, nor at the approval level, because it is, yes, the perception and the initial concept that it will cost money. Obviously, the electric vehicles are more expensive than the internal combustion vehicles at the current
main
stage.
Challenges?
Exactly.
Finance?
Plus the availability of the technology, plus the uncertainties, because we know for sure that the normal engine vehicles are running for ages, and we know the problems, we know what it comes with it in terms of maintenance and operation. But when it comes to electric vehicles, there is always that a question mark: what will happen after 5 years, and what will happen after 10 years? How are we going to dispose and decompose those equipments? But the answer to that question was that we made sure that we will only evolve and introduce those items in the fleet when the technology is matured enough and proven to do so. So we invested more in testing and trying such vehicles in our operation in different weather conditions to assure that they are fully operable under our operation requirement. Plus, we made also a as Najeeba said, the collaboration with the private sector. It is very difficult to keep relying on the government funds for transforming and changing your operation requirement. But at the same time, there are many companies who are willing to invest and explore the opportunities of their technologies with the collaboration with the government sector. So it's a win-win for both parties. So when it is financially feasible and environmentally also showing results, I think it's definitely something positive to go forward with.
Thank you. And it's interesting to hear that initially it was something that wasn't seen or accepted very easily, and a very bold move to have these targets in the first place. Since we don't have too much time, instead of going to our next questions, I'd like to just give each of you the time for closing remarks, what you'd like the audience to take away with us today. Ali.
Right. I think, the net zero for 2050 is really very honorable target to achieve, and we have to do everything in studies, education, knowledge, to educate most of the society, especially the young people, and to think about innovative way to use the energy. Energy is very important to grow our economies, and if you remember, let's say 100 years ago, the world population was less than 3 billion, now it's 10 billion. So to support growth, there should be energy. Energy should be used in a responsible way, optimized way, wherever we go, and support the new technologies of renewable. So when it is more, reduction could be done in the hydrocarbon by so many means. And this is the way we have to support the, very honorable objective of the UN, of the globe altogether, of net zero by 2050. And here in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, we are already in power generation 20% renewable, and the rest is gas, which is really still friendly to the environment compared to coal or oil or diesel. Thank you.
Thank you. Najeeba.
From my side, I think we need also to continue our growth in terms of economy. This is one of the way we can lead the way of the decarbonizing the rest of the world. I believe UAE today is leading in this regard. I'm talking about the aluminium sector. We can see that we are really among many few industry has managed to produce green metal, and there is a huge potential to grow in this and to partner more of success into this domain. We need to work in the policy where we can really return most of the scrap today who goes outside UAE, within the UAE, where we can help ourselves in decarbonizing our planet and our city. So that's all from my side, and thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much. And last but not least.
I think from my side, I'll have two messages. A message to the public to believe in public transportation. We heavily encourage the resident and the citizen of the city to use public transportation because it's a key contributor to to curb CO2 emissions from using private vehicles. We started with a very, with a low percentage of ridership initially back in 2006, and now we are above 22%, and we are hoping to increase that with the increase of the different public transport lines across the city, and of course, with the soon starting project of the Metro Blue Line. We'll be having 30 kilometers, additional kilometers of metro across the city with 14 stations that will serve definitely the northern and the eastern part of the city, will help a lot into easing that. The second message is technology. Obviously, this wasn't possible 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And what changed from now on then, of course, in addition to the mindset, is the technology and the availability of the solution. So we should believe in technology, and we should explore and invest more into research and development to see what are the different options and the technological solutions for alternative options, and that will be definitely the key and the way forward for decarbonization and more sustainable future.
And since we have 1 more minute, because your first point about public transport, I think it's really interesting because part of it is helping or maybe educating the public on how to use it and why you should be using it. So maybe I can open this because we really have another minute and a half. How do you think government can accelerate the mind shift for people to start using public transport?
So obviously, first of all, by having it reliable and trustworthy. Of course, you won't use public transportation that you will find difficulty into, committing to your timeline or to your schedule. So this is what we believe in, to have a reliable and trustworthy public transportation. Public transportation that should be accessible, available across the city with the different, facilities to ride in the different mode of transportation. Not only the metro, but also the public transportation buses and the tram as well. In addition to that, the accessibility through having, the knowledge and the information of public transportation. So we have the Ashail app, which is an integrated platform that gives you all the information for public transportation, not just the land transportation, but also the marine transportation. So you can plan your journey and have your journey planned up front and ahead of time, knowing exactly how much of time you will need and you will use on public transportation. So you definitely can plan your day or your work schedule accordingly. And last but not least, it should be also affordable and known where you can do it. So the public transportation is quite affordable comparing to the different, large cities across the globe. So by this, we are servicing not just a specific category in the city, but trying to serve the entire population in the city. Moreover, we also have dedicated cabins in the public transportation for ladies and children, so that also give more like kind of a privacy and facilities for different categories. Of course, with accessibility for people of determination and different language support. You can name the different features that we have on the public transportation. And as you said, is awareness and media. Heavily available on different social media platforms, on the different billboards, on the electronic signboards that are on the street. So that all helps and encourage people to know more about it, and of course, to be more keen and eager to use public transportation.
I have to say I'm guilty of that as well. So thank you. And thank you to the three of you for giving us a lot of food for thought and really making us think in a new way. So thank you for sharing your expertise. Thanks so much.